Tonight on CTV, we'll take a look at how Denver is handling COVID-19 and an update on CSU basketball.
Then we'll see what all the buzz is about over the bee population and a new mental health exhibit in the Fort Collins Museum of Discovery.
All that and more on CTV starting now.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Ren Wadsworth.
And I'm Robbie Patla. We have a packed show for you all tonight, so let's get right into it. This week marks the 20th Annual Diversity Symposium here at Colorado State University. The first day of this event sparked some significant controversy. On Monday, October 19th, CSU's annual Diversity Symposium began. Even though the event was moved to a fully virtual format, it's still filled with a week's worth of seminars and speakers talking about the topic of diversity and inclusion. Not all of the sessions may have lived up to this, however. Monday's keynote speaker, Dr. Milena Abdullah, an academic and civil leader who also co-founded the Black Lives Matter chapter in Los Angeles, spoke on racial diversity. Dr. Abdullah has also been affiliated with the Nation of Islam at certain events and through social media. Members of the CSU community expressed concerns about Abdullah's presence in the Diversity Symposium due to the Nation of Islam's history of anti-Semitic and anti-LGBTQ views. While some members of the community have been known to see her as a token of diversity and equality, others, mainly being those of the Jewish and LGBTQ communities, see her as the opposite. CSU President Joyce McConnell sent an email to the community in which she acknowledged these concerns. In her email, she wrote, "As a university community, we must understand that sometimes our values can only be demonstrated under circumstances that challenge them. CSU can protect First Amendment rights while at the same time use its own free speech to identify and condemn hate bigotry when it appears." Some CSU students have also shared their thoughts on this topic.
Because I know having someone like that on campus doesn't make me feel comfortable, because I know that their voice, while it might be supporting one group, is also going out and giving very anti-Semite and anti-equality views out that can be dangerous.
Despite the controversy, the CSU community still promotes diversity on campus in many ways, and it will not end anytime soon.
Throughout our past shows, we've been keeping you updated on the Cameron Peak fire, and tonight we have some resources for those affected by both voluntary and mandatory evacuations. To some, the fire may seem like a far-off threat, but to many Colorado State University students, the threat is all too real.
When students came back to Colorado State University this semester, helping their parents evacuate their home wasn't on their checklist. But sophomore Sarah Cromwell's semester has been anything but ordinary lately.
My parents called me. The first evacuation notice was at like 10 o'clock at night on Friday. They called me and they're like, "Hey, can you come help?" So the process was 10 o'clock at night, them calling me rushing home, which is like a 30-minute drive.
But this wasn't a one-time occurrence. The Cromwell family has had to evacuate 4 times, 2 of which were voluntary. Families like the Cromwells relied on text messages to find out whether or not they had to evacuate their homes and how long they had. Fire isn't the only thing people have to watch for when evacuating. Sarah says people who want to look at the fire crowd the roads and make it difficult for those trying to make it home or evacuate.
The day that we had to evacuate the first time, it was about 40 minutes for me to just wait to turn into my neighborhood because police were having to turn around cars of just people that wanted to go look at the fire.
Sarah and her family are keeping a close eye on the fire, but she encourages those impacted to reach out.
Just say, "Hey, my family's evacuating all the time, and there's a chance I might need help."
Ren Wadsworth, CTV, Channel 11.
If you or anyone you know has been affected by the Cameron Peak fire, Colorado State University is offering financial assistance, funds, as well as temporary housing. CSU evacuation resources can be found at source.colostate.edu.
As COVID-19 continues to impact everyone across the world, Fort Collins is taking measures to bring relief to the community. The Federal CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund is currently being used in a multiple of ways to help support recovery throughout the city. Nearly $9 million have been distributed to small businesses, nonprofits, and local programs. As of October 6th, over 320 establishments have begun the application process for assistance. The program is and will continue efforts to supply safely services, including products such as sanitizer and other disinfectant supplies for the benefit of public health.
Halloween is right around the corner, and Colorado State University is offering advice for students who choose to throw parties. On the registration website for the school, the first line students see is discouraging students from participating in parties. But it goes on to explain that should you or someone you know throw a party, to adhere to the social gathering tips they provide, which include keeping your party small, with 10 people or less, social distancing, and wearing masks. The spooky season may not be what any of us expected, but there are still plenty of ways to get into the spirit of Halloween. But don't worry, because Claire Green with Entertainment has a few ideas with how to keep you festive this fall while still adhering to COVID-19 guidelines.
Colorado State University has partnered with the online taxi service Lyft to provide those in the CSU community an alternative form of transportation. COVID-19 has presented challenges for those who depend on campus transportation services. However, the new Ramride-Lyft merger will provide members of CSU with discounted rides for Lyft and Lyft XL. Students should have received an email from Lyft with a link to their activation. Once activated, students anywhere in the U.S. can receive a discount of 50% on rides applying up to $10 for any Lyft service. Students, this offer runs for 4 times a month, and it runs from Thursday and Friday nights from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. This offer will be available through December 19th and will continue to be available during the fall break.
Winter is slowly rolling in, and the city of Fort Collins is reducing their water use early. The drought and wildfires in Colorado are a huge inspiration to why Larimer County is pushing for reduced water usage from citizens and businesses. However, they aren't the only ones making the decision to do so. Colorado State University is on board with what is called the Horsetooth Outlet Program. The program is meant to repair and upgrade the Soldier Canyon Dam, which supplies water to more than 200,000 businesses and residents in Fort Collins alone. These new restrictions do not apply to raw water, which is used for irrigation. A water conservation analyst from Fort Collins Utilities, Alice Konovitz, describes how it's not just the city's responsibility to reduce water in the upcoming months. We still need the community's help through October and November. Small actions can make a big difference. If we all do our part, we can make the most out of our water resources. You can reduce your own personal water usage by watering lawns and plants less frequently, taking shorter showers, and reusing water when possible.
After receiving a grant from the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research, CSU has begun investigating emergency food provisions. The study found that local responses to these concerns depend on 3 factors: adaptable supply chains being able to feed vulnerable populations, more cross-sector collaboration within large cities, and addressing gaps in communities with populations at higher risk. The team is conducting further research to explore this topic and believe that more guidance from the federal government may improve the effectiveness of the responses.
A few weeks ago, I talked about the tighter social gathering restrictions going on in Boulder County. More recently, it appears similar constraints have been placed into effect throughout Denver County. The city of Denver has tightened the face mask mandate to now require masks at all times while outdoors. Previously, Denver had only required masks while indoors. Additionally, the capital city will be limiting gatherings to no more than 5 people. The new rule does not affect businesses or those living in the same residence. The regulation on social gatherings is in effect until November 16th, while the outdoor face mask mandate is in effect indefinitely. As another college's social distancing protocols become stricter, Larimer County could potentially be soon to follow.
With the coronavirus restrictions still in order, restaurants are continuing to make changes to best fit the needs of customers around Fort Collins. Many establishments are expanding their outdoor seating options, some even planning to winterize their locations. Steps being taken include patio heaters, tents, and other precautions that will allow for a comfortable and safe dining experience. These provisions are in response to the September announcement that the city will continue the dining program as long as Colorado Governor Jared Polis has the pandemic statewide emergency order in place.
You may have heard about a recent beetle outbreak in Colorado trees, but new research is suggesting this may actually lead to new life. A regional spruce beetle, which kills trees, but the ground cover created by these beetles serves as the perfect habitat for bees in these settings. Research done through a study at CSU found a significant increase in floral vegetation as well as diversity in the bee population where the infected trees used to be.
These huge pine stands that are really incredibly dense also create a really dense leaf litter area, which not only suppresses a lot of these herbaceous plants that bees go to. You have flowers won't grow underneath lodgepole pines. If you take out a large percentage of lodgepole pine or thin a stand, you allow these other plants to come in, then you allow native bees to come in as well.
The species has shown endurance for harsh environments and higher elevations compared to other bees. The growth in the buzzing new population is good news for the forest as well. The wild bees perform essential pollination, which benefits ecosystems with shorter growing seasons. In a time of destructions, these little insects show us that hope can be found in even the most unlikely of places. Now, you may think that Colorado is the perfect place to live. If you do, you wouldn't be alone. According to a recent U.S. News & World Report, 4 of the top 5 best places to live are in Colorado. Fort Collins is ranked number 5 when compared to larger cities, whereas my hometown of Colorado Springs takes the number 4 spot. Denver at number 2, and while some Ram fans may not be a fan of this listing, Boulder as number 1 place to live for 2020 and 2021. If you're upset about how Fort Collins ranked in this particular survey, stick around for entertainment because Claire Green talks about how it ranks when compared to smaller cities across the nation.
That's all the hard-hitting news we have for you tonight, Rams.
But don't go anywhere because Claire Green is coming up right after the break with your entertainment scoop, so stick around.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Rams, I'm Claire Green, filling in for Jenna Barrow to bring you all of the spice and entertainment. I know I'm excited for Halloween coming up, but sometimes it's easy to get lost in the candy and forget about some more important things. Daniela Castillo, a senior instructor in the Department of Journalism and Media Communication, is keeping these important things in mind. This Thursday, she will be working with the Global Village of Museum and Arts and Culture to share the history of Dia de los Muertos, a Mexican holiday that celebrates those that have passed away. I might just have to grab some candy and go get a history lesson. Fort Collins is a cool town, and apparently I'm not the only one who thinks so. Livability.com just released their list of 2020 top 100 places to live in America, and Fort Collins placed number 1 on that list. Over 1,000 small to mid-sized cities across the country were analyzed on factors such as safety, outdoor recreation, and economic stability. Fort Collins took the cake, which I think entitles us to a year of bragging rights. While we're on the topic of how cool Fort Collins is, I'd be remiss to not mention all of the neat food spots we have here. Kristen McAllister from one of our other shows, CTV Cooks, talks a little more about one of her favorite finds of the week.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Krista's Catch, where I will be reviewing my favorite food spot of the week. This week, I decided to try the beignets from Lucille's. Lucille's Creole Cafe was established in Fort Collins in 1996, and they have been serving up Cajun-style breakfast and lunch ever since then. They were the first restaurant in Colorado to attempt a Cajun theme for brunch, and they have continued their success by expanding their menu to include their own Creole coffee and spice blends, as well as specialty Creole breakfasts. Walking into this restaurant felt like going to Grandma's house, if your grandmother was an amazing Southern cook. I was met by upbeat Cajun music, a friendly greeting, and all of the Southern decorations my heart desired. Despite the cool temperatures outside, I felt warmed right up to the bones when I got inside and ordered my beignets. Beignets are often called French donuts, and they are fried squares of dough that are covered in powdered sugar. I'm just gonna get right into it. It really packs a flavor punch. It's so sweet, so airy, so flaky, and honestly, it just tastes like comfort. As you can probably see, I made quite a bit of a mess, but I firmly believe that when it comes to beignets, if you're not choking on powdered sugar and having it spill everywhere, then you're doing it wrong. I did live in New Orleans for a little bit, and I know what prime beignets taste like. I think that this is just, honestly, just a step below, but I think this is the closest thing that I found to those beignets, and so for that reason, I decided to give this a 4.7 out of 5 stars.
Those beignets look so good, I might just have to go get one and see what Krista's talking about. In the meantime, the Fort Collins Museum of Discovery has just opened a new exhibit that will make the intangible become concrete. Their exhibit, Mental Health and Mind Matters, includes video clips, multimedia activities, and even an emotion recognition game that helps to help visitors understand health and how it impacts society. They are opening the conversation about mental health through this exhibit, and I was personally excited to hear about their worry shredder because I know that I could put that to good use. The museum isn't the only thing bringing positivity to the world. One young lady in Colorado took it upon herself to brighten people's days. 12-year-old Alex Yoke has been making thank you cards for firefighters that have been working long and hard to contain the fires that have been sweeping across Colorado. She wrote a note of appreciation and drew a picture and included a joke in her letters, which she hand-delivered to the firefighters. Even though she's only been doing this project for a week, she has already brought smiles and laughters to these firefighting teams. Well, Rams, that's all the time I have for you tonight. Stick around to hear Cameron Evig talk about what's coming up in the weather.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
Cam Evig back with your Tuesday night weather. Let's not waste any time getting right into it as we see our current conditions in Fort Collins right now. 54 degrees is going to be your temperature right now. Sunrise is at 7:17 this morning. Sunset at 6:11 p.m. just an hour or so ago. Moon waxing crescent, as it says gibbous, but it's actually a crescent. My bad on that one. But now going into our overnight lows. Looking all around Colorado, see how cold it's going to be tonight. That west side going to be looking good. Craig at 31, Vail solid 41, Grand Junction over that 43, Gunnison at 45. Looking at Telluride, always cold down there, 28 degrees. Alamosa takes the cake today, though, for the coldest place tonight at 23. Switching over to our east side as we got Lamone at 35, Burlington 37 degrees, Lamar down at 41. Pueblo and Springs in that 30 area as we expect. Denver, our capital city, at 42. Now, going to be moving on to our tomorrow's forecast. Looking at what it's going to be in Fort Collins tomorrow, 67 degrees is going to be your high. Low of 43. Sunrise at 7:18. Sunset going to be at 6:10. And don't get used to this weather. As you'll see a little bit later, it's going to get significantly colder going into tomorrow's highs, for all around Colorado. Looking at Fort Collins at 68 degrees, all the way down 72, 73, and 76 for Denver, Springs, and Pueblo. Looking at that west side, Craig at 73, Vail going to be at 65 degrees, Gunnison at 70, Telluride going to be at 52, Grand Junction at 77. As now we look towards our east side at Lamar, 74 degrees down there. Burlington at 72, or at 67 with Lamone at 72. Sterling up there at 70, but now getting in to our 5-day forecast for Fort Collins is something you're going to want to see, because 75 and 43 on Monday, your high and low. Tuesday, 68 and 35. Wednesday, tomorrow, going to be a nice one as well, 67 and 43. But this is where it all changes, goes a little downhill. Thursday, 54 and 21. Going to be some cold weathers on Thursday. 21 going to be your low. But on Friday, your high is going to be 37 degrees. And your low is going to be 25. So going from that 54 to 37 degrees, finally getting into those winter months. Make sure you bring out your jackets. Make sure you're dressing all nice and warm. Get ready for winter. Somebody that's getting ready right now is Hunter Fillmore, and he'll be right after the break with sports.
Awkward. Do I look familiar? I should. You might remember me from here. Here. Or maybe even here.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
It can actually be a perfect moment to reach out to a friend and ask if they're okay if they seem down.
It doesn't matter how you say it.
You all right?
Everything's okay?
All G?
You all right, girl?
You cool?
You bugging dog.
Just show you're there for them.
Go on, Kelly. Seize the awkward.
Hey, you haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back from the break, Rams, into another week of Hunter's Hotspot. This week, we will be throwing it over to the court and taking a look at the CSU men's basketball team and what they have in store for this coming season. But first, let's look at some bombshell news that the Mountain West Conference dropped on the CSU football team this afternoon. Earlier today, news broke that CSU will not be playing the first game of the season against the New Mexico Lobos due to a pandemic-related concerns in Bernalillo County, where the University of New Mexico's campus is located. The Rams were set to kick off the Steve Addazio era this Saturday at Canvas Stadium, but with this cancellation, the start of the new coaching regime will have to wait even longer. Here's the official statement from the Mountain West. Due to the prevalence of the COVID-19 virus in Bernalillo County and the accordance with state guidelines, the University of New Mexico is unable to participate in the scheduled football game Saturday, October 24th at Colorado State University. Therefore, the Mountain West is canceling the game and declaring it a no contest. There is no plan to reschedule the game. Unlike how many other collegiate leagues around the nation have been switching the schedules of other teams to accommodate for COVID-19, the Mountain West has decided to cancel the game and rule it a no contest. There is no plan to reschedule the matchup at this time, which means not only will CSU be stuck with one less game this year, but the Rams will also have to wait yet another week to play their first contest of the season against Fresno State next Thursday night. With COVID-19 affecting nearly every facet of life, members of the Rams basketball team had to get creative on where they were practicing in the off-season. But with the return of the students and organized sports to the campus, this is no longer a problem. Finally, after the pandemic short-ended season back in March, CSU is back in Moby. Faced with a return to some sense of normality, junior guard Kendall Moore voiced how critical it was for his coaches and fellow teammates to make up for the lost time, saying, "There were things we missed out on in the summertime, and we have to incorporate them now. There's a lot of urgency, so we're trying to do everything so when it's time to play, we're at 100%. Moore, as a junior, has some of the most experience on the team. It will be important for the veteran guard to produce at a high level and keep up with consistent examples of steady play for his teammates in order for the Rams to continue to exceed expectations." In last year's campaign, the Rams finished with 20-12 record with 11 conference wins. While CSU has plenty of young dynamic pieces to push towards the Mountain West title, one of the biggest differences from last season's team to the current squad has to be the massive void that the graduation of star center Nico Carvacho left behind. Unexpected big men like redshirt freshman James Morris and true freshman Jacob Jennison will be forced to step up and attempt to fill the huge impact that Carvacho brought to the court. With the first tip-off only a few months away, the Rams will need to put in even more work and preparation than usual to function as a strong cohesive unit. Only time will tell if head coach Nico Medved and the rest of his staff will have the group ready to reach the lofty goals they set for themselves on the season, one of them being hoisting up that Mountain West Championship trophy come March. Well, Rams, that's all the sports coverage I have for tonight, but make sure to tune in tomorrow for Laced Up and have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.